Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making this short bubu gown with this trendy design on the neck and on the chest. So if this is something that interests you, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So guys, this is the fabric we'll be using, and this is the bridle I'll be using for the design on the chest and on the neck. So I'm going to set the bridal satin aside and we'll start working on the fabric. First thing first, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the self edge of the fabric. So once I'm done with that, I will take my tape and measure out my shoulder measurement on the shoulder line. The starting point of the fabric is the shoulder line, and my shoulder measurement is 8 inches. Then I've had the sleeve length I want to use, which is 9 inches. So at that 9 inches, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches, and I'm just trying to measure the length of my from my shoulder to my sleeve, and that's 17 inches. So now I'm going to join from the center to the 1.5 inch that I came down with, and that's my shoulder slope. So after marking out my shoulder slope, I'll go ahead and mark out my bust points, my waist measurements, and my hip measurements. So once I'm done with that, I'm just going to form straight lines on those points. My bust points, waistline, and my hip line. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is to measure the distance between the shoulder slope and my bust point. So it's more than my sleeve length, so I'm going to leave it like that because the round sleeve is not supposed to be tight. So the next thing I'm going to do is to measure my bust circumference measurements on my bust point, which is 10.75. That is what I just marked out now. Then I'm going to add 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. So I'll go ahead to my waist line and measure out my waist circumference, 1 inch ease and 1 inch seam allowance. Then I'll do the same for my hip line as well. So guys, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do now is to measure the length for my gown. So the length I'm going for is 41 inches. So I don't want it to be too long, so I'm going for the length of 41 inches. So I'm just going to mark out that 41 inches. So once I mark out the 41 inches, I'm going to form a straight line to indicate where my gown length stops. So the moment I do that, I will replicate the hip circumference measurement on my gown length. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect the hip to the gown length, the waist to the hip, and the bust to the waist, the way I'm doing now. So then I'm trying to indicate where my sleeve starts from. So now I'm going to measure my shoulder measurement, the 17 I measured on the shoulder. I'm going to measure it on this bust point. That is to show that my sleeve stops there. So that's where I'm going to cut out from. Then I'm going to blend that curve. I don't want a sharp curve over there. So that's what I'm actually doing now. So after that, I'll go to my neckline. I'm going to use a neckline of 3.5. I wanted to use 3.5 inches before, but I decided to change it to 4 inches. So I use neck width of 4 inches and neck depth of 2 inches. So I'm just going to curve it like that. After doing that, I'll go to the shoulder line, and I'm going to go ahead and measure out 1/2 inch on the shoulder line, which is what I'm going to use to join the front panel to the back panel. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So guys, this is what I have after cutting out the pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the back panel, but before then I will chalk the wrong side, because the wrong side and the right side are so looking as alike, and I've cut out the selfage. So I marked out the wrong side and I removed the back panel from the front panel. So this is the front panel. Yes, I'm just going to arrange it properly. So once I finish arranging it properly, I'm going to go ahead to the bust points. So on the bust points, I'm going to mark out, I'm going to go in by 1.5 inches, 1.5 inch. So after doing that, I'll take my ruler to connect it to the neckline in a straight line. So I'm going to indicate that where the 1.5 inches starts, then I'll connect it to the neckline the way I'm doing now. So the moment I finish connecting it, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So this is what we are going to use to create our trendy neckline. So guys, after cutting it out, this is what I have. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. So this is what I have after cutting it out. So before we go further on designing our neck, we are going to join the shoulder, the shoulder of the front panel to the shoulder of the back panel. So I'm going to place it on each other, align it properly, take it to my sewing machine and join the two shoulders together. So once I'm done with that, I'll come back and we'll continue. So guys, I've joined the two shoulders together. You might not see the sewing because I use the matching thread. So after joining the two shoulders together, I'm going to open up the fabric to the right side and I'm going to take my measuring tape to measure round the neck. Make sure that as you're measuring around the neck, you are being careful, because if you rush and measure it, you might end up getting the wrong measurements. So now I'm just taking my time to measure round the neck. So after measuring around the neck, I have 35.5 inches. So I'm going to round it up to 36 inches. So guys, I've gone ahead to cut out 36 inches by 5 inches on my bridal satin. So I'll take it to my iron now and press it down like this. So I've gone ahead to press it down and it is now on fold. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place my to spread open my fabric, my bodies on the table, and I'll place the bridle on the right side. But before then, I'm going to notch the two corners of the front panel the way I'm doing now. So I'm going to notch it up to 1/2 inch. So once I notch it, I'm going to place my bridal satin on the right side and I'm going to sew it round. So guys, I've gone ahead to sew it round and this is exactly what I have. So once I'm done with this now, I'm going to go ahead and flip it to the wrong side. So when I flip it to the wrong side, I'm going to place the two sides close to each other, making sure that they are both overlapping. So, and I'm going to align it properly to the main bodies. I'm pinning it down now. Guys, if you don't understand what I'm saying, just be looking at what I'm doing. So I'm just going to align it, making sure they are overlapping each other. So when they overlap each other, I'll place it on that. Remember, we notched it the other time, so I'll place it on it like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and take it to the machine and sew it down with 1/2 inch. So this is what I have after sewing that with 1/2 inch. This is how it looks on the wrong side. So let's turn it to the right side, and this is how it looks on the right side. As you can see, it's looking so beautiful. So we have already created our neck design. So the next thing is to work on our chest. So I've gone ahead to cut a piece of 14.5 inch by 14.5 inch. The 1/2 inch is to sew it down to the main body. So I'm going to take it to my iron and I'll press it down. So I've gone ahead to press down on all sides apart from the side I'm joining to the upper part of the chest line. So now I'm going to place it like that on the right side to know where the design is, and once I know it, I'll turn it to the wrong side again. So On each side, I'm going to measure 5 by 5 inches, so 5 inches length and 5 inches breadth. So that is what I'm measuring now. So the moment I measure it, I'm going to connect it together so it can form a triangular shape. So when it forms that triangular shape, I'm going to take my scissors and cut out the triangular shape. So guys, we have already created the chest design. So let's flip it to the right side and see how it looks. This is how it looks on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and press it down with my iron to give it a good shape. So I've gone ahead to press it down on my iron. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to place the design on our main bodies. So to place it on the main bodies, I'm going to notch the midpoint of that upper part that I did not press down with the iron. So I'm going to notch the midpoints. Once I notch the midpoints, I'm going to place the midpoint of the design on the midpoint of our neckline. That is where the two neck designs are overlapping. So that's the midpoint. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew it down like that. Once I sew it down like that, that means it's going to sit right after the neck design. So I'll flip it over and stitch round. So guys, this is what I have. I've stitched it round and I gave it a good press. So this is what I have, and you can see our design has already been formed. So this is the strip that we are using for our sleeve. The length of this is 3.5, while the width is 3.5, while the length depends on the length of your sleeve opening. So I'm going to place the right side of the strip on the fabric like the way I'm doing it now, the wrong side of the fabric. Then I'll sew it down and flip it to the other side such that the wrong side will be facing the right side. So I'm going to sew it down, give it a good press, and hem it at the down parts. Then we are done. So guys, this is the final look of our bubu gown with trendy neck and chest design. Thank you so much guys for watching this tutorial. Please do well to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one.